Health is really simple, but how does it work? Coming right up. Hey, I'm Dr. Ekberg with Wellness for Life, and if you like to truly master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Everybody wants to be healthy. Everybody, it's this big catchword. Everybody wants to be healthy. It's the good thing, but very few people understand it, and as a society, we think of health as the lack of disease. We take better care of our cars than we do ourselves. We take our cars in for service before they break, but we wait until something happens, until we have a symptom before we do something about the body for the most part. So we want to change our way of thinking about what health is. And health is when everything is working the way it's supposed to, when there is adequate function in the body. And disease is the lack of function. Disease cannot happen if everything is working the way it's supposed to. Disease cannot develop. Function in the body is everything that the body does to maintain all of the systems and all the actions and the digestion and the immune system and the movement and the thought and so forth. All of that is function. There's something generated that results in that function. Think of that as light. Light is something that we can see, we can measure it, we can quantify it, we know what it is. And function is the same way. It's something that's there, it's something real. But darkness doesn't exist. Darkness is not measurable. There is no source of darkness. Darkness is the lack of light. And disease works the same way. Just like darkness, disease is the lack of function. So if you think of function as light in the body, then disease is simply the absence of that light or not enough light. Okay? So if we understand that, then it makes no sense to treat the disease. That would be like going around to treat a shadow. Okay? We have a light source and we have something shading something, creating a shadow, and then we wouldn't go in and try to treat the shadow, do something about the shadow. We remove the thing that's shading it. And that's how we have to start thinking, that the body has an infinite intelligence that manages and balances things. And if something isn't working, there's something interfering, and we now have to get rid of the thing interfering. We have to provide the things that create function. We have to remove the things that create interference. So think about a plant. So here we have two flowers and we have the sun shining on them, but there's a fence that's shading one of them. So the plants in this case really like a lot of sunlight, so the one in the sun is very healthy, it's colorful, it's strong, it's very resistant to wind and stress. But this one growing in the shade, it doesn't get what it needs. It's not getting the sun, the water, and the soil. It might get water and soil, but it's not getting enough sun because there's a fence shading it. So it's very pale and very weak. So what would we do in this case? It's really obvious, right? We just go in and we remove the fence, or we move the plant into the sun where it can get the things that it needs. But if we think from a medical mindset of treating symptoms with drugs by treating the problem rather than creating a solution, then we might go in and say, oh, that plant is really pale. You got some paint? I think we need to paint it because it looks really pale. Yeah, that's good. So now for a little while, if we do a really good job, it will look a little better, but it won't be any healthier because there's a lack of function. It's not getting the things that it has to have. And then we say, well, it's kind of fragile, it's almost falling over by itself. I think we need to go in and put some struts, give it some crutches, support it a little bit. And again, that's not going to solve the problem. We could even go one step further and say, oh, let's give it some more water. Let's give it some better nutrients. Let's plant it in better soil. But if it's not getting the sun it has to have, then it's not going to be a healthy plant. So the same thing works with humans, that we don't necessarily have those exact requirements. They're similar, but we have chemical requirements because we have a chemical aspect, we have a physical aspect, we have an emotional aspect that can change physiology and function. So we have chemical, physical, and emotional requirements. So these are the things that create function. These are the things that the body has to have to produce the appropriate energy and signals and communication and so forth. Nutrition from whole foods provides the resources, the fuel and the building blocks. Movement and signals create the signals that the brain and the body has to have. Use it or lose it. Anything that you don't use is going to degenerate, it's going to atrophy. If we don't have joy and purpose, we're going to be in a constant state of stress. Our body is going to start shutting down and we're not going to function at optimum. So these are the things that create the appropriate function. And these are the ones we want to create more of. We want to put more of these into our lives. Then the other thing is the things that are interfering, and these we want to reduce, such as toxins, heavy metals, and medicine, because these are all foreign to the body. They are not things that fit into a normal physiology that the body actually needs for fuel or building blocks. These are things that either interfere or treat symptoms. Medicine works to reduce a symptom by blocking signals. The body wants more signals. It wants more function, not less. So even though medicine can treat a symptom, which can be a good thing in an emergency, it does never produce more function. Physical, if we're sedentary, if we have physical trauma, if we have poor posture, all of these interfere. They reduce the amount of motion that creates signals, that is the juice, if you will, for the brain, the nutrient juice for the brain. Emotional, if we have stress, despair, and overwhelm constantly, we put the body in a state of stress, which will shut down. It's very destructive. We can't get the body into a state of rebuilding as long as we have a lot of these present. Humans have chemical, physical, emotional needs. Plants have sun, water, and soil needs. Anything that's not there, we could try to raise a plant with water and soil and not enough sun, but it's not going to be a healthy plant in the long run. If we try to just add physical and emotional support, but we're toxic and deficient, we're not going to be healthy. If we eat right, but we're worried, we're not going to be healthy in the long run. So optimal health depends on addressing the body holistically, addressing all the factors that influence health. So health is not the mere absence of disease. Disease is the lack of enough function, just like darkness is not enough light. So how many people have a dark switch at home? I didn't think so. Okay? There is no source of darkness. There is no source of disease. There is only lack of function and lack of light. So we have to start understanding what biology is and how the body works. We have to stop thinking in terms of symptoms. Even though emergency intervention can save a lot of lives, once the emergency is over, we have to start looking at rebuilding the body by giving it what it needs. That's the only way we can build optimum health in the long run. So if you enjoy that, please let me know. Write down your questions, your comments, etc. Please share this with as many people as possible, because if they start understanding this, then we can build true health instead of just treating symptoms. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy learning more about this, make sure that you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that we can keep this content coming your way. Thanks for watching.